So while you are dropping where you're joining from in the chat box, I'll just briefly introduce myself. My name is Itunolu Adebayo, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. I'm a sales associate with Keble. Once again, thank you for taking time to join us. Whether you are joining us for the very first time or you're a returning member of the Home Circle community, we're excited to have you here. And today's session is one you don't want to miss. The topic we'll be treating today is how to earn monthly income from mainland properties. For those that are not familiar with Lagos, or you are not familiar with Lagos, we have Lagos Mainland, Lagos Island, and locations around in mainland are places like Bega, Ogudu, Yaba, we have Akoka Yaba, we have Alagomeji Yaba, and other locations like Surulere and Oshodi. Why we also have locations on the island as well. So by the end of this session, you have a clearer understanding of how real estate can generate consistent monthly income and why mainland properties continue to attract smart investors. So before we move further, I would like us to make the session a smooth one by muting our microphone so we can hear ourselves clearly. And if you have questions, you can drop that in the chat box. During question and answer session, we would answer all of them. Right now, I'm going to introduce our speaker. Our speaker is Jose Maria Agulana, the Chief Executive Officer of Keble. Jose Maria has extensive experience in real estate investments. He has built wealth through innovative property solutions. Today, we'll be sharing practical insights into how investors can earn recurring income from mainland properties and what opportunity currently exists. Please join me in welcoming Jose Maria. Hi, Jam. Good evening. Kindly confirm you can hear
me. Hey. Can you hear me?
Just yes. Okay.
All good?
Yeah.
Hi, Dean. How's your... Is this Saturday?
Yeah.
I'm losing track of time. How is your Saturday going?
Going well, thank you. Nice. And yours?
Hope everybody's good. I'm fine. I'm just settling in actually, but going well, very well. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, over to you.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So thank you so much for the introductions. Just a quick show of hands, yeah. Is this your first time joining our home circle? Just checking. I want to check the pulse check on newer people trying to figure out things are going. I can only see first time. Okay, good. I'm guessing everyone else they've been in a home circle event before. Yeah. All good. Okay, fantastic. Okay. So this is your first time. I'm still going to talk to everybody as if it's their first time. So quick introduction. My name is Jose Maria Golana. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Keble. I have background in finance, accounting. We've been around for probably close to 7 years now. We've done deals in Nigeria, in the US, in the UK, in Dubai. So we have extensive knowledge when it comes to real estate investments across board, whether it's debt or whether it's equity, whether it's structured investments. We've done our work in almost every single aspect of it. The reason why we have home circles like this is because we want a situation whereby people are able to sort of have a one-on-one interaction with people that are building stuff in Keble. Ask as many questions as you want. Also learn a thing or two that we use internally to assess certain deals across board, so that whenever you're looking at deals, even it doesn't really have to be a Keble deal, to be honest. I've seen people use some of the things that we're doing here to buy a property in the UK, to buy their first home, to buy their first land. And it's just helpful that we have a forum like this that allows people to learn a thing or two outside of the conventional investment conversation that's going around, right? Now, for context, a lot of our investments and portfolio strictly vetted from a legal standpoint, from a structural standpoint, from an organizational standpoint. So we don't dwell too much on the thing that the average developer or agent would probably talk about. We do have extensive legal team that sort of handles that. We try to look at it from a standpoint of what if everything is correct? Why should I still pick this location? So if every single legal aspect of a transaction is done really well, why should I still go ahead and pick this investment? Why should I still invest? Why should I have this in my portfolio? So we look at it structurally from that lens to allow us to know um, whether it's a good or enough bet to go forward, right? Um, and today we're going to be talking about strictly on the mainland, specifically around Yaba, right? And one of the things that we want to sort of dive into is if we're picking at an option in the Yaba market, and we've done our first set of deals was I think early 2020 during COVID. The two assets that we had that year was, Yaba projects. So we've had, I think in terms of extensive knowledge on the location and what we're going to talk about today, we've had that across board in several structures, right? So hopefully this conversation would help shed more light on things that we're looking at, things that you probably are aware of, or but we shine more light on it so that people are able to structure deals properly when they're looking at some of our offerings. Yeah, all good. So let me quickly, again, if you have questions, just type it on the chat. Every single question will be addressed. Typically, I want to make sure that we're done in like an hour, right? It doesn't really take so much time to look through, unless we have additional questions and we can move through that. Okay, let me share my entire screen. Forgive my tabs. They are unlimited. Okay. So right now I can't see anybody. So help me with if there are questions, something you need me to look at, or point, or you need me to focus on certain things, just let me know. And if there are questions, please also let me know as well. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. So for people that do not know what Keble is a global real estate firm. Our job is to make sure that everyone should own property. Not can, not maybe, should. We believe that every single person deserves to own property, right? We're not saying that property is the most important, thing in the world, but we do think that if you're thinking of building wealth, every single person, every single metric we've looked at has shown that if you do not have property, if you do not have a real asset, no matter how small, you're essentially leaving money on the table, right? Especially in a world that is constantly expanding and growing. So our whole mission is to make sure that people essentially get access to real estate. And if you look at it, if you're someone that have paid attention to some of the offerings that we provide, you notice one singular theme across board, which is flexibility. So we don't want a situation whereby you're thinking of, breaking your back to buy property. We're always about flexibility, right? The second thing is affordability, right? Now that context is slightly different for whoever is talking, but across board, we have investments that are starting with 5,000 naira, and we have investments that are upwards of 250 million. So like that spread is what you can see within the Keble platform. And we also focus on de-risking people. So de-risking means that if you're deploying 100 million into one singular property, in Keble, you can deploy 100 million into 10 different properties. So what that means is that certain assets that might be an issue will not harm your general portfolio. I'm a big fan of diversification when it comes to property investments, right? So, pardon me. I'm a big fan of property diversification. So a lot of people have no idea how to diversify in property. They are thinking of investments and diversification from a broader sense of view, right? But like when you're thinking of whoever is doing even stock investment, they tell you about diversifying. Like if you're doing bonds, if you're doing global stocks, you're always thinking about diversifying your portfolio. People forget that you can also do that in real estate. So Keble allows you to do that across board in a well-structured way. Yeah. Now, today we're going to be talking about monthly income, right? From the POV of Lagos Mainland properties, right? So I'm going to drill that into like why is, in terms of location, we're going to drill into mainland Yaba axis. So anything that's around the Unilag axis area, right? Right? All good. So just a poll, audience poll. When you hear property income, what comes to mind, right? I think someone should draft a poll on the chat. poll options, right? Are you thinking of annual rent from a tenant? Are you thinking of short-let bookings? Are you thinking of monthly ownership income? Are you thinking of buying and selling a property, or what? Or you don't have an option. You're not sure yet. Yeah, I think it's a really good way of knowing where we are at this point in time. So, Ituno, has that poll been posted in the comments? Just checking.
So we are sending it soon.
Okay. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now, while we are going through the works, we have, in terms of property ownership, um, when you're thinking around, the property ownership is not the same as property income. You can essentially own property without deriving some level of cash flow from it, right? And there are a couple of characteristics that come into play when you're thinking of cash flow, right? You want to be clear on the kind of customers that you're getting through the door. You want to be clear on the location that the property is situated in. You want to be clear of the kind of people that can even afford the property, right? How the property is maintained. I was talking to a client the other day, and one of the things that we're going through is buying property is the easiest part. That is actually the cheapest part. Like you buying the first property, you paying the money. That's the cheapest part in the whole process. The most difficult and consistently the most stressful part in property is the management. Is the average lifespan of a property is give or take 50 years, right? So the holding of that asset for 50 years and just allowing it to churn out cash flow for you is where the work is, right? So you want to be sure of just managing, controlling that flow extensively. You need a partner that will do that for you, right? Most people try to do it themselves and it becomes a second job, and nobody has time to do a second job, right? It becomes a very stressful second job because it's taking your time, it's taking you away from your kids, taking you away from your friends. It's a lot of work on that front. So we help people that when you buy properties through us, we structure everything that allows you to experience I say chunky experience, whereby when you're buying the property, you're actually buying everything. You're buying the entire experience. That hey, you have someone that would get you furnished, get the apartment running, and getting you through the door from a monthly income standpoint. Yeah.
I
Now,
just
yeah.
yeah.
So
So we can't see your screen. So we can't
you
even
can
see
see
the
my screen.
options to drop in the chat box.
Okay. So sorry about that.
Yeah.
Thank you for highlighting that quickly. So options. Yeah. So what are the options you're looking at? So like I said, when you hear property income, what comes to mind, right? Do you think annual rent? Do you think short-let bookings? Do you think monthly? So you can even put 1, 2, 3, 4 because you typing it might be a lot. You can just put, okay, number 1 comes to mind, number 2 comes to mind, number 3 comes to mind, number 4, number 5, right? So you don't have to type the entire thing. All good? Does that help?
Yes, that helps. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All good. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay. So why Lagos Mainland? The most important thing to note is like the especially in the Yaba axis, right? There are a couple of things that just align. So for instance, study and work, right? A lot of people work on the mainland. So that's the Keble axis. A lot of people work on the island. So that's like Lekki VI axis. Yaba is such a central location that it allows people to move in and out of those axes with ease. So that's important, right? We're also seeing a convergence where a lot of commercial properties, a lot of commercial buildings are being set up in Yaba. Because if people are choosing Yaba and Yaba as a location to live, you tend to see more businesses lean more to that axis, right? So that it's easier for commutes, it's easier for recruitment, it's easier to get, talent. The talent pool is there. So you're seeing a lot more commercial buildings. If you look around Yaba axis now, you'll be noticing that a lot of commercial buildings, a lot of office spaces, the market is shaping up to address that particular need, right? Now, People are also obviously running businesses. There's access to healthcare and the likes. But the major thing, like one thing I want everybody to take home with is um, you're seeing actively, you're seeing Yaba, Alagomeji, Sabo markets, becoming like VI. I think I've mentioned this before, whereby if you're buying any property in Alagomeji, in Yaba axis, you're essentially buying VI in 2010, right? Now, what's creating the demand? You're seeing employment, you're seeing education. There's a cluster of like university, there's a cluster of tertiary institutions around this axis. So you're seeing that level of activity coming up as well, right? Transportation is really good as well. You're seeing also lifestyle. You see restaurants, gym, cinema, all of that is in one area. So when I tell people that, hey, you're you're looking at VI in 2010, right? This is what I mean. You're seeing all of this in converge in a way that makes so much sense. And you're also seeing some level in terms of affordability. You're seeing people that probably live on the Lekki axis, the phase one, phase two, move to Yaba from a rental cost perspective, right? There's a premium there. It's slightly better here, right? So they tend to move back here and they bring all of that pool back into Yaba. So if you're buying land here, if you're buying, Airbnb, if you're doing any investments in Yaba, that pool is also attracting the same level of tension in terms of capital appreciation by default. So you're seeing some level of default capital appreciation happening already. There's a property that I think 3 years ago, three-bedroom apartments in Alagomeji Azis was going for 100 million, right? 3 years ago. Right now it has doubled in 3 years. So you also see that even in rental value as well, right? So I think that's important to know that the pool is happening from all aspects. People are moving back here. You're seeing a much more robust educational system. You're seeing more lifestyle activities happening as well. Just checking if you can see my screen. Okay, good. You're also seeing the level of employment because of how office spaces are being built as well. So all of this are sort of combining in a way that makes sense and why you should be thinking about property here. So yeah, who pays for these properties? Obviously, the students. From a rental standpoint, you're seeing students, you're seeing young professionals, you're seeing families, a lot of corporate visitors. So as office spaces are setting up, I'm seeing people build short-let spaces, but they are structuring in such a way that it's for corporate clients, right? Or for researchers or for students. They're people building short-let spaces, and the pricing is focused on students, right? So it's really important that whatever investment you're doing, you want a situation whereby if someone asks you, what's this property for? Who is it targeting, right? And does the price point match that target? Can they even afford it, right? So that's where you see properties in more office space locations. You would hear prices of 100K and above. But more student-friendly locations, you hear prices of 50K and below, right? You want to be able to distinguish where your property is actually situated in and who is it for, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So yeah, there are 5 ways to earn from properties on the mainland. You're going to see traditional long lets, apartments, so that's fine, right? That's, I think for people that are renting apartments here, I think in the last 5 years, you've seen annual growth of rental prices around 10 to 15% year on year. So that's good. If you're doing short lets, it's almost around 20% year on year. So that's good. We're also seeing co-living. So as rental prices are becoming higher, you're seeing new emergence of people looking for roommates, right? And this is a global phenomenon. It's not even happening just in Nigeria. You're seeing that in, the UK, in the US, in Germany, whereby people have 3-bedroom apartments, 2-bedroom apartments, and they're co-living, right? Especially when they're early in their career, right? You're also seeing like commercial spaces growing. I don't know if anyone is familiar with Sabo Market. If you're familiar with that axis, you would see that there is a lot of construction there happening to open more shops, open more spaces, open more studios, more storage spaces, and the likes. So all of that is really important. If you want to even do, there are a couple of businesses that we're even looking at when you're thinking of highly dense areas like Yaba. So like if you're doing for example, parking lots, and that would go really well. If you're doing a car wash business, that would also go really well. If you're doing a events business, that would go really well. If you're doing a storage business, that would go really well as well, right? Anywhere that you notice that there is a huge density of population, you're trying to figure out, if I use this now, you don't even have to build any building. You can use like freelance space to do so much value can be created, and you and the landlord can sort of split the bill on that front, or split the income on that front. So just a tip for people that are looking for opportunities, right? You want a situation whereby you can maximize, every space is so unique that you can use it for a ton of things, right? Just checking if it's still there. Okay. So yeah, featured Lagos property. So like I said, we're in Akoka Yaba. We have properties in Yaba axis, and we also have properties in we have properties in Akoka axis, and we have properties in Alagomiti axis. They are two different markets. So Akoka is highly, student friendly, educational, more younger demography, people that are starting off in their careers. So you will see students, young professionals there, right? Now, if you go to Alagomiti axis, you will see more family, young professionals, there, right? So high earning, family oriented people and young professionals as well, right? You tend to see less of students in the Alagomiti because rental prices are slightly higher because it's closer to, VI and the likes. Now, what are the properties that we're spotlighting? When I mentioned that, hey, we have certain projects that are really situated for the students, right? For young professionals, for students. We have Bradford Suites. That's we have a studio option and we have a one-bedroom option. You can decide to buy a co-ownership option whereby you're buying a fraction or a share of the apartment, right? For as little as 256,000 every single month, right? We have a sole ownership option that allows you to buy the entire unit, and you have a 6 months to 12 months plan that allows you to flexibly make that payment across board, right? Now, if you're thinking of the location here, this is situated really close to the Unilag axis. So the kind of customers that you're going to be getting are, researchers, young professionals, students. So that's the demography of customers that you'll be getting that will be patronizing your apartments. So what's happening overall? What's the growth opportunity that you're seeing? In terms of like one-bedroom apartments, I think as of you've seen prices grow from 35 million to 60 million. I think as of now they're closer to 80 to 100 million, right? In terms of rental income, you've seen properties that have grown from 1.7 million in 2025 to right now is at 2.5 million. So that's a over 40% increase. I think one of the situations where I want people to know when you're partnering with Keble to build your real estate portfolio is that as prices tend to rise, as general inflation gets to grow as well, and as population increases, as demand for housing also grows, you tend to benefit from that. So a lot of people tend to be on the complaining side of it and not on the beneficial side of it. So I think one of the things that we tend to do is to allow people to start participating in that upside. The same way people are participating in every single IPO that goes up in the share market. Like you can also participate in consistency. Like as population grows, you're getting the dividends and benefits from that growth as well. Now, how this growth is positioned in such a way that it benefits whoever is buying Bradford Suites. So, like I said, population growth is happening. You're seeing that reflective in the rental growth as well. Some landlords are doing this funny thing where, like, obviously it's been raining for the last 2 months, so people are looking at, oh, Yaba doesn't have so much of that in its axis, so they are looking to increase the pricing because people are leaving the Lekki axis or Lekki phase 2 axis to come down to Yaba and say, okay, because I don't want to be experiencing flooding issues on that standpoint. So you see landlords increasing their rental value just because of that. But I also believe that in terms of fundamentals, because that's a one-off, in terms of fundamentals, what you need to focus on is there is this huge population growth. There is also this huge tertiary institution, 2 or 3 tertiary institutions that just brings people from all over the country every single year. Every single year. So you do not have to do anything. All you just have to do is to sort of, take position in a particular location, and a institution just pulls people. Unilag pulls people. What's the other one? Yabatech pulls people every single year from all over the world, from all over the country, right? And I think that that's a valuable thing for whoever is coming in and trying to position themselves in this particular location, right? Most of the properties are self-serviced, fully serviced. They're also positioned as short-let. However, we also are open to long stay. So people can be able to, if there's no short-let engine running, you can actually position it as a serviced apartment where people can stay for a longer term, right? Right. So this is why we have Bradford. This is the pricing. I think for a slot is going for 3 million. You can pay 256,000 every single month for the next 12 months, and you get a piece of this property. For people that are looking for sole ownership, we have studio apartments and we have 1-bedroom apartments. You can decide whichever plan you're looking to spread the payment for. We also are open to spreading it much longer if you're going through the Keble route. So that's an opportunity that you can go through. In terms of revenue, I think the distribution is 40,000 naira per night. That is at the low tier, right? So that's our base amount. The average price per night is actually 50 to 60,000 naira every single night, right? Then we have Alagumiji. I mentioned this is Alagumiji and Sabo are more of the VI lifestyle kind of. That's where you see more of the commercial apartments, commercial buildings being set up. So it's really important to know the distinction of both of them. Obviously, the VI one is priced higher just because of how it's structured. This is the first major estate being created in the Yaba axis, right? And most people just build one building and they live there. This is the one that has like a full-fledged estate where people are expected to live. So it's really catered for more professional, more high-end kind of customers, right? And the price also reflects that as well. In terms of the value, I think from last year to this year, we've also seen a growth rental value of over 40% as well. You've also seen sales price also go high with upwards of 70% within the last 12 months. So the likelihood of upward mobility from your investment is slightly high. Remember what I said, when you're buying Yaba, you're essentially buying VI in 2010. And if you're buying any property in VI right now, I think some of them are even pricing it in USD. So it just shows that there's a lot of growth, upward mobility when it comes to what you can actually get in properties here. Yeah, so like I said, this is really good for professionals, business travelers, because of where it's situated. There's a lot of commercial activity happening, so it makes sense for whoever is buying into it as well, right? Now, the ton of ownership structures, we do not have the sole ownership for Buckingham, that's fully sold out. However, the co-ownership is still available where you can buy a piece of it and earn from the rental income for life, right? All of these co-ownership structures are well documented. You get a contract of sale, you get a deed of assignment, and you also get like a co-ownership agreement that binds you to the property and the income they're essentially going to earn. And all of this can be tracked through the platform. The flexibility is also important to note. Like across board, you're able to decide if you're buying on a monthly basis or outright. So that makes sense for you. Now, if you're interested in any single property, whether it's interested in structures or interested to know more about some of these offerings, I think there's a link in the description or in the chat. You can indicate your interest If you're interested in co-ownership, sole ownership, or just interested in understanding more of how we work, I think we're open to that conversation. Thank you so much. I hope I kept to time. Yes, fantastic. I kept to time. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Jose Maria. It was really an insightful one. Thank you. We've learned a lot about Akoka Yaba, Yaba in general, and Alagumeji Yaba, what drives growth in that area, the opportunities you can key into, and projected income and the growth opportunity as well. I'm sure everyone on the call, they've learned one or two things, and I'm very sure we have questions we would love to ask. So kindly drop your questions in the chat box while we give response to that, while we answer that. So we have a link in the chat box that you can fill out if you have questions, if you're interested, or you want to reach out, you want somebody to reach out to you. Probably you have more questions, so you can just fill that out. So I don't know if Ahmed has a question, is raising his hands. Ahmed, do you have any question? Okay, go ahead. You can ask your question. Okay, we have a question in the chat box from Toby Akindujoye. So it says, how many slots are in the Buckingham versus Bradford?
Yeah, so I think Bradford is roughly 30, and Buckingham is slightly higher. So Buckingham is close to 40, yeah, 40 slots. In terms of how many is left, I think Buckingham is over 60 to 70% subscribed, so we have 30% left. And Bradford is still more new, so I think close to 30% has been subscribed. So it's still very early for most people. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I hope that answers your question, Toby. Ahmed, you can go ahead to ask your question. And if you want to type, you can just drop that in the chat box.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking for the tab. I had so many tabs open. Can you hear me? Yeah, it answers my question. You said Bradford is 30 units, Buckingham is 40 units.
Yeah, sure.
Like the slots available.
The slots,
like the
yes.
slots of like
The total slots, not the
the total
slots available.
slots.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to type it somewhere. So Buckingham 30 units, total slots available. Like total slots that makes a unit.
Exactly.
Okay, Buckingham 30 and then Bradford 40, but then out of that 40, how many is available? And then out of the Buckingham, how many is available?
So Buckingham, you probably see around 20%, 30% is available for Buckingham, right? So that's available. Then for Bradford, is I think around 7% is still available. So yeah, because it's newer.
Okay, and then both of them, their completion time is also the same.
Yeah, the same thing. Same
Next
time.
year,
Next year.
July.
July, yes.
Okay. Okay.
So we have another question from Ahmed. So he's asking when do investors start earning once they complete their payment from the apartment? Yeah.
So let me read that question.
Okay.
When to start earning after complete purchasing? So for example, right now we have Regal, so people that bought into Regal, people that bought into Nov, and people that bought into Ibudura. We've fully paid for Riga. It's one of our studio apartments in Surulere. Right now, they are at the furnishing stage, right? So it's met with the timeline that's been allotted to it. Nov, we fully paid for it. So right now it's in the furnishing stage. Ibudura is, the last payment is as of next month. So from next month, it will be in the furnishing stage as well. All three of these assets were bought almost at the same timeline, and all of them will be ready for property letting by the end of this quarter. So that means that most people that will start earning from it will start earning from this particular quarter, right? Which is good because some people are still making payments. So we want to make sure that they wrap up those payments as quickly as possible so that they can benefit from the rental income that will start. So most of it is once the property is fully done and now done with the furnishing and everything, you start earning your rental income from day one. The benefit is that if you bought into a property, you're also going to be communicated within your other co-owners, right? So that communication is there consistently, at least once every single quarter, to know how things are going in the property and how your rental income is going as well. You can also track that payment across your portfolio on your dashboard. So once that rental income start earning, you start to see the rental income being earned. You start to see when it's being paid. You also start to see a breakdown of the expenses for each property, right? So we've had experience in managing, property at scale for close to since 2021, yeah, to date. So really good progress so far. If you're talking, you're muted. Just checking.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for answering that question. So we have another question okay, there's a question, I think, from the form. So what happens when one misses a payment schedule?
Yeah, so we have grace period of around I think 60 days, right? Then you start being penalized. I think the percentage is 5% on your outstanding. I think around 5% on your outstanding. Then 90 days, we create this flexibility that the outstanding sort of increases until you complete your payments. So, but you have a grace period of at least 60 years because life can happen, So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Ahmed, does that answer your question? I said Ahmed. Okay, so Ahmed he has another question, and the question is, can you shed more light on co-ownership properties?
Yeah, sure. So the entire idea is, let's say property is worth 100 million or 200 million, right? You want a situation whereby you're able to capitalize on the upside based on the amount of money you have as of today. So what that means is that I've seen properties let me give you an example of a property that I can remember. I've seen a property that has essentially doubled from 100 million to 200 million in 3 years. Now, at the point where it's 100 million, the only person that can afford to buy it is someone that has 100 million, right, in the bank account to pay for it. However, what co-ownership does is that you do not have to have 100 million. You could have 1 million, you could have 10 million, but you can benefit from the upside of saying if that money doubles in 3 years, you get to see that reward from there. You also benefit from the rental income that 100 million property will generate compared to a property that is, I don't know, 20 million or 10 million that will generate. So that upward sort of outcome, you're getting that based on the ability that you have as of today. So most people, when you think about it, it's beneficial on that standpoint. Now, for someone that has 100 million, right? What that does for them is that instead of them putting 100 million in one singular location, they're able to spread that 100 million across board, right? So I've seen someone in our portfolio buy 3 different slots from 3 different locations, right? So one slot here, one slot here, one slot here. So he has a slot on the mainland, he has a slot on the island, he has a slot in Ibadan. And what that does is that it allows you to diversify properly across all these different axes of properties, right? So one property obviously can have rental income might not be so great in 1 month, but this other property can do really well, so you can allow for a proper diversified portfolio in different regions, right? Without locking your money in one singular location. So I think that's what co-ownership does for people.
Thank you, Jam. Ahmed, I hope that answers your question. Please, if you have questions, you can still drop them in the chat box. Okay, that answers Ahmed's question. Thank you. Okay, so if you would like to,
I have one question. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't know if you can share that um that last slide that says start according to your current capacity.
Okay.
One that has the prices.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Give me a sec. Real quick. This one, yeah?
Yes, this one. So the Bradford is a studio.
Yes, the studio. So
Okay, because I,
studio,
because what I'm trying to when I calculate it is like the price is different from the outright. Like when I multiply the slot by the number of payments.
yeah. If you
Oh,
want to buy
is
the,
that intentional or is like maybe I'm calculating it wrongly?
what are you
Because
calculating?
I multiply the 256 monthly
Mm-hmm.
times 12, then
Yeah.
times 30 units.
So how much are you getting?
I'm getting like 92 million or something like that.
92 million. So that means it's for our Bradford suits, we're accounting for what do you call it? Furnishing. If you're buying to ownership, right? Essentially, this is outside of furnishing. This is outside of any other fees that were attached to it. So it's not baked in like that. For co-ownership, we bake in every single cost, so you're not sort of shocked. Even insurance is also baked in as well because we work with AXA Mansard to make sure that the property is insured. When you buy to ownership, you're essentially saying that, hey, you would have to ask us to do all of those things. We don't impose it on you, right? On that front. But for ownership,
Okay.
we have to make sure that everything is sort of, managed according to this thing. Then if you buy it for yourself, those other fees are sort of, you have to, settle that off the books on that front.
Okay, okay. So like the co-ownership is the one where you do like the furnishing and the insurance and all those things. But
Exactly.
if you own it sold outright, then you have to figure out those things by yourself.
Exactly.
That's what makes up for the differential. Okay, got it.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we have another question from Ahmed, which says, after a year. Okay. So after a year or 2 years of earning rental income, can I take over my apartment?
When you say take over, what do you mean? Like it's already yours, so I don't know what you're taking over. So the aspect of co-ownership, for example, is if it's 100 million, someone can easily buy like 5 units, right? And let's say it's 100 million, each slot is going for 10 million. So that means there are 10 slots in total, right? We have people that will buy 50 million out of it. That 50 million is 5 slots, so they own 50% of the entire units. Fantastic. um, we have a situation whereby someone might be earning and maybe wants more of that unit. So they can buy from, other co-owners and say, hey, you guys, can I actually buy more of your slots? If they are interested, you can easily sell it to you, right? If they're not interested, obviously that's their own property. So no one really takes over anything. The other thing is that an external person cannot come and buy without you guys' approval. So you think you have 70% approval or quorum, whereby 70% of slot owners should agree that, hey, we want to actually sell the entire unit. We will not introduce any sale to any of you guys until year 5. So you'll be earning rental income. However, you can decide to sell on your own pace. So you can decide to hold the property for 1 year, 2 years, and decide to sell off. But we'll not introduce any exit period. The entire thing is that we look at these properties as properties that can last up to 50 years. So you can decide to sell your slots anytime you want, decide to buy more slots anytime you want, right? But we look at these assets as something that is generational. You can easily pass down to, your kids if you choose to. Yeah.
Thank you, Jose Maria. I hope that answers your question, Ahmed. We have another question from Olakunle. Okay, that's good. Please, what is the tenure of each co-owner in a co-ownership property? And is it possible to sell the slots in the future?
Yeah, so there is no tenure, it's actually for life. So think about it like you're buying the property and it's just growing in value and you're earning rental income. So this is a for life sort of transaction. In terms of when can you sell it, you can sell it anytime you want. Like there is no, you decide the tenure yourself when you want to exit, right? And you can sell it. There are two ways to sell. One is we give a first right of refusal to the co-owners that bought it. The likelihood of someone interested in buying something that is already making money from is slightly higher. So you can introduce it to the co-owners and say, hey, I want to sell my slots, and they are more likely to do that. If that's not the case, we introduce it to the wider marketplace and we, make sure that it gets more visibility to other people. But like in terms of tenure, there is no tenure until you decide to sell. So it's a bit more flexible on that front. Yeah. Hope that makes sense to you.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you. Does anybody have any question again before we end the session for tonight? Okay. So we have another question from Ahmed. Do you have equity contribution account that generates interest?
Yeah, I think our USD option has interest. We're also doing something with Global's Bank pretty soon that would also for NGN, so that will generate interest as well. So we're working on that. But USD actually generates interest now. Hopefully by the end of this quarter, we'll have something with Global's Bank and we can have interest yielding for NGN. Yeah.
I think that's it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jose Maria, for taking time to answer our questions and to explain how investors can benefit from properties on the mainland, especially Akoka and Alagumeji in Yaba. I'm sure we've learned a lot around the population there, the growth opportunity, and how investors can, key into that. For investors that would love to, okay, I think we have another question. Okay, that's a question. It's actually a compliment.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So for some of our users or new, if you are new, if you like to connect with us on our socials, we have some links in the chat box. You can follow us on our Instagram page, TikTok, X, LinkedIn, YouTube. We also, if you also want to reach out to us via WhatsApp, if you want to make more inquiries or you want to speak with someone, we have a phone number that you can, call, and you can also reach out to us via WhatsApp. You can also reach out to us via email. We have an email address there. We love you to connect with us, stay updated, and see other offerings that you can, key into. We also have a community where you can join. You can learn more about real estate investment options, different offerings we have at Keble. If you have questions, you can ask there, and we have a number of investors that are ready to, share their insights with you as well. I think that's it. I think that's it for tonight.
I think someone asked one last question. Can we have an account for children?
An account for children.
So I think in a structured way, we do not have like a specific way to say, okay, account for children. However, I think someone bought a property through Keble and they just opened a Gmail for the child, right? And they used it to open the accounts, and all the assets that they are buying are in the child's name. Right. So that might be what I say, a current hack that you can use if you're thinking of having something for your child. Most of the assets, you just said, okay, this is for, my daughter, and all of the assets are in the daughter's name. So that's something that, a customer has done. But if we get more people that are interested in, having dedicated accounts for children, and hopefully we can be able to structure something much more unique and bespoke for them, I think we'll have something more structured for them. But for now, that's something we have, and you can do that for yourself as well.
Okay. I hope we answered this question. Ahmed, I hope that answers your question. Oh, thank you. So if you are interested in tonight's in tonight's offerings that we've explained, you yes, so we have a link. You can just go through the chat. Somebody is going to send in, one of the team members will send in the link again, so you can just have access, easy access to us via WhatsApp. Okay, so we have another question from Casca Williams. So what's the progress on Buckingham 2?
This is going quite well. I think one of the largest, actually one of the largest projects in our portfolio. So um, right now at this stage, I think they're done with the foundation layer, and they're sort of building out all the existing structures at the moment. In terms of other assets generally, I think what we tend to look out for is the bigger the project, the longer it actually takes, right? So we want to be careful to let everybody know that if you're buying into a larger project, it's going to take time because it's not just one building. It's like a twin building with lots of parking space, with a playground, with a sports center and the likes. So building all of that ecosystem will take some time. So I think if you've bought into it, you're not just buying into just one single app. You're buying essentially a gated community, and they're building an entire ecosystem that surrounds that. And I think the due date now is July next year. Yeah, so this time next year, if you're buying into it. Yeah.
Okay, so I hope that answers William's question. So if you are interested in keying into Bradford or Buckingham, so we have a form. It has been reset again, where you can fill it out, and we'll definitely reach out to you. That's for that. And for, I think other links have been sent again. If you would love to connect with us online on our social media platform, and also if you want to reach out to us via WhatsApp or you want to call us, we have a phone number. We have some links that you can just click directly. I think that's it for tonight. Thank you for spending your evening with us. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you at our next Home Circle session. Thank you so much. Good night.